Chapter 4 Baron's Plan. After a long explanation, Bond hung up the phone from Felix. He and 00 Sletty then exchanged some words with the police and made their way back to Main Street. Bond looked at 00 Sletty, though. James, what is it? I'm afraid our vacation is going to be cut short. Why is that? Well, to say it bluntly, it appears that it's true that Baron Samedi is alive. Oh, so that's what you were talking about on the phone. Wait, he is? I thought you told me he died in a coffin of snakes. Well, he was somehow able to slither out of it. Remember I said I thought I heard his laughing later that night. Bond and 00 Sletty thought about it for a second. They were standing right next to a giant clock in the heart of Concord. Just then, 00 Sletty's phone buzzed. It was a text from Felix. James, listen to this. Fellas, we may have another lead. I had a friend who was going to go after Samedi and he... Hey, it cut out on me. On the phone then appeared a picture of a skull with a top hat. A distorted voice began to speak.
Be warned, the spirits are coming to a perfectly keen place.
Laughter then followed, and the text reappeared. 00 Sletty looked at Bond, and then he looked distressed. Voodoo? In one of the most calm places in the country? Like you said, if this were New Orleans, maybe I could understand, but here? That's his plan. Hunt down a place where people could never see it coming. Perhaps he means Keene, New Hampshire. There is a huge festival there, and it is Halloween-themed. Perfect fitting for him. One way to find out. Why don't you say we get a move on? I say that would be a keen idea, Mr. Bond. The spies then started to call Felix for yet another ride because of the ruined car. Yeah, James. A lift would be most uplifting. Alright, this is the last one. Not a problem. I should have someone pulling up for you right about now. Much to Bond and 00 Sletty's shock once again, he was right. A car soon pulled up, and the driver's window rolled down. You 00 Sletty and 007? The spies nodded their heads. However, Bond advanced towards the driver. And you would be? My name is Jane. That's a nice name. My name is Bond. James Bond. 00 Sletty introduced himself as well by rolling his eyes at James and then smiling charmingly at Jane. The spy duo climbed into the car and went off to Keene. Meanwhile, at a lab in Newington, Baron Samedi strutted along a table of vials and test tubes from the suitcase he carried. A man with a handlebar mustache slowly looked up at Samedi and nodded. He then moved his hand to a glass tube with an orange liquid in it. Ready at your command, Baron. Do it then, do it. The man then inserted a needle into the tube and sucked up the liquid until the needle was full. He then proceeded out the door and slowly approached a room. In the room sat Rodney, who followed them to the power plant. He was sitting behind a table and saw the man coming closer and looking down at him. He smiled devilishly at him. A giant hand held Rodney steady as the first man injected Rodney into the neck. 2 bright spots were left in the spot where the needle injected Rodney. The man began to back off, and Rodney then opened his eyes wide. His mouth began to open, and his canines started to grow and end in a point. Samedi then came into the room behind the man. Perfect, he said. I did not think it would work when you showed me in the car, but I was wrong. He then reached into his pocket and pulled out a deck of cards with images on them. The cards had a picture of a skull on one side with 2 perfectly shaped eyes and 2 perfectly shaped red ovals around the eyes, and a nose like an upside-down triangle with a red line going from the top and down a side as if it were a 7. He placed the card on the table and turned it over. It showed 2 men tied around a pole with flames around them. One was a dashing gentleman, and the other a curly-haired teenager. Bond and 00 Sletty arrived in Keene and stumbled into an event that Keene holds true, the infamous Pumpkin Festival. James, I read up on this festival. It appears to have a past. Apparently, some students either from a local college, another school, or possibly even both caused some kind of trouble, and they had to shut down the festival for a few years. It's a mystery. Well, why don't we see if we can hollow out an answer for our mystery, Bond said. Perhaps even carve out why Samedi is here. 00 Sletty answered. Bond raised an eyebrow and smiled. He then put his arm around his fellow spy, and they walked off into the festival. The spies searched and searched for any signs of Samedi, and turned up with nothing. They then started to enjoy the festival. Pumpkin-themed and flavored objects surrounded the city of Keene. Booths were decked out with some of the best Halloween decorations, and even a few people were in costume. You know, I have to admit that there is no other place to be than New England during the fall, especially during Halloween, 00 Sletty commented. Unless you're in New Orleans, where it always feels like Halloween time. The only difference being is the temperature. Bond and Double O Slutty then noticed a local cafe giving out samples of apple cider. Bond knew about Double O Slutty's love for the fall drink, so they went in. The cafe was modeled to look like a bar, and the two approached the bar. Behind it stood a woman with blonde hair and glasses. She wore a black t-shirt and a long brown skirt. Double O Slutty then immediately extended his hand and introduced himself. Well, hello there. The name's Soletti, Double O Soletti. However, everyone calls me Daniel. The woman started to smile and chuckle. Very nice to meet you. I'm Melissa, and your friend is Bond. James Bond, Bond replied. Double O Slutty rolled his eyes once again. Can I get you two anything? Vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. And for my friend, a glass of your finest apple cider. Sir, do you believe it's 5 o'clock somewhere? Quite. Melissa fixed up the drinks and gave them to the spy, spilling some of it. Sorry about that. I've only been doing this for a few weeks. Not a problem, Miss Melissa. Pardon my wondering, but have the events here at the Pumpkin Festival always been a problem? Melissa thought about what Double O Slutty had asked her, and then she reached under the bar to refill the drinks. Not since that 1 year. Everything's been going as smooth as the skin of a pumpkin. The spies looked at each other and finished their drinks. Bond began reaching into his sport coat and pulled out a card. Well, we're Halloween enthusiasts, so call us if anything turns up. Or just call for fun, Double O Slutty chimed in. Melissa smiled and then slipped the card under the bar. The spies left and Double O Slutty had a concerned look. Trouble, Daniel? I don't see any reason to be discouraged after that encounter. It's not the person, it's the information. The skin of a pumpkin is never as smooth as one thinks it is. There are always a few bumps. We've got to learn a little bit more about this. Well, then may I suggest a venue of learning such as that? Bond pointed to a banner on a lamp post, giving directions to Keene State College. Double O Slutty agreed, and they went off. Back in the bar/cafe, a hand reached under the bar and grabbed a syringe that was near the drinks that Melissa was preparing. Beautiful job, the voice of Baron Samedi said. Melissa then collapsed to the floor and was dragged further into the back of the bar. Samedi began to whisper into her ear, Now go and make friends and bring them to me. Samedi watched the spy duo through the window. Meanwhile, Bond and Double O Slutty made their way down the road to Keene State College, where they saw a makeshift sign that read College Pumpkin Fest.